Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Kaizouwar here. I am so happy to announce that Marvel vs. Capcom is coming back in Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. That is a name. But it is super exciting to see all these games come back. We got X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and the beat-em-up game The Punisher, which no one's seen this one coming. Like, the only thing that people have been talking about in past recent time with Marvel vs. Capcom was the Free Marvel movement, and people have been wanting Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to come back in particular because that game is very beloved by a lot of people. And even before that was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and too many factors caused Infinite to fail. There was too many things, too many videos out there talking about it, but the point is, Infinite was not the Marvel 4 people wanted, and despite having good gameplay, it's forgotten. No one cares about Infinite. People will still play like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and the other games on Fightcade, but outside of that, no one's touching Infinite, despite having good gameplay. So, what do we sit at now? So, on a Nintendo Direct, randomly on a Nintendo Direct, they decided to announce a Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game collection, which is funny, because the Fighting Collection is now a series, because previously there was Capcom Fighting Collection, released 10 games. It was like half of them were Darkstalkers games, and there was Red Earth, Cyberbots, Hyper Street Fighter 2, there was Puzzle, the Street Fighter Puzzle game, and one game I'm missing. But the point is, they made a good collection. People really liked the collection, had rollback, had training modes for games that didn't have it before, so people really liked the collection. And now we get hit with this, because people were shocked, and I'm still am shocked, because how? Because with Infinite, people kind of accepted that like Marvel would not play ball. Marvel wasn't going to play ball. Fox wasn't going to play ball. Disney wasn't going to play ball. It was a big thing. People were expecting like this is not going to happen. But to my utter shock and disbelief, they got all the games back, which means Marvel is willing to play ball once again. And if that's the case, that means we could potentially get a Marvel vs. Capcom 4. I know a lot of people say Infinite's kind of Marvel vs. Capcom 4, but it would have been Marvel vs. Capcom 4 if they named it MVC 4. If the next game comes in MVC 5, then yeah, but I'm not counting this as MVC 5 until I'm not counting Infinite as MVC 4 until I get confirmation that the next game is called MVC 5 or some other alternate name. But the point is, this opens up the floodgates to a couple of things. Actually, I got three things that this potential collection opens the floodgates to. One, Capcom is willing to do more fighting collections for other games. Like, for example, what about the Capcom versus SNK games, right? They can, SNK seems to be wanting to play ball with having their characters in Street Fighter 6's DLC, and we already know that Capcom and SNK have a very good relationship. Terry and Mai are going to be in Street Fighter 6's DLC characters, so what's to say they can't talk over a collection idea, right? Because we have Capcom vs. SNK 1, Capcom vs. SNK 2, then you have SVC Chaos, which has never been re-released, and there's another game I'm misremembering right now, but it was another like smaller scale Capcom vs. SNK game, and those could be re-released in its own collection, and I will guarantee you people will buy that game just to play Capcom vs. SNK 2, because the most recent release of Capcom vs. SNK 2 was on the PS2 classics on the PSN store for PlayStation 3. So that's, if you really want to play the game again outside of Fightcade, that's another way of playing it, easily with your money. And a Capcom vs. SNK collection would be great, and I feel like that may come in the future, because now that Marvel vs. Capcom collection now counts as a series, the Fighting Collection counts as a series, we may see that in the future. Another thing that opens a floodgate is a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. If Marvel is willing to work with Capcom now to get this collection out, because they have to get them for approval to make this collection, who's to say we can't get a new Marvel vs. Capcom game? I would love to see that, because everyone would want to see that. Everyone wants a new MVC game, and we want to see this game actually do well, and hopefully there's no big issues behind it, if it even becomes a thing. But we're in a better chances of getting a new MVC game than we've ever been before. Because after Infinite and how the whole debacle went down from then, how, you know, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was taken offline several years back. Marvel vs. Capcom Origins was taken offline several years back. It was kind of like we kind of accepted that, yeah, we're not going to get another, Marvel's is not going to bother with Capcom anymore. But with this collection, we could potentially see a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. Another thing that, and I think this might be a weird one, and I don't know if it has any place in this conversation, but I already mentioned the Capcom vs. SNK collection and a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. What about like Capcom remastering their old games, their old versus games? Like, for example, we still have Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Who's to stop them from making a remaster of that game? They don't even have to do anything insane. They just have to upscale it, put it on all platforms, give it rollback, and easy game right there. And I've always wanted to replay Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, but that game's really good, and it sucks that it's never been re-released ever again. And I feel like Capcom should have re-released that game by now, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it'd be easy money, but then again, they have to talk to the company that owns the Tatsunoko characters, right? So that kind of, you know, throws a wrench into that. Then we don't know if they're even willing to even go to the whole trouble of even doing that, you know? I feel like the people who have the Tatsunoko characters really wouldn't care. I don't think they're really that protective over their licenses of stuff like that, but maybe Capcom just doesn't see the point of it because, you know, it was already a niche idea for a game to begin with. And I feel like maybe if it was to release today, no one's really going to play it, but I would. Like, honestly, just releasing on PS4, Switch, you know, Steam, and then boom, that'd be it. You know, super easy. And I feel like you give it a rollback and then boom, that'd be it. You know, make it look better, put it on, give it a rollback, put it on modern platforms, easy. But those are my three potential ideas of what I would want for a, you know, what Marvel vs. Capcom is going to lead to the future of. And the good thing about this is like they're still releasing the games on Steam, PS4, and Switch. Which it's funny because you don't see a PS5 copy anywhere. You don't see it says PS5, but you can play PS4 games on your PS5. The game released on Switch and it's getting released on Steam. Great. No crossplay, but I'm not really tripping about that. And on top of that, they're getting physical releases for the Switch and the PS4. Amazing. That means Marvel can't just say, hey man, we don't want our games up on the digital storefronts anymore. They can't just randomly take it down, which is awesome. You can own them forever. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about. Marvel vs. Capcom is back. Marvel is back, and I cannot be any happier than I am now, dude. Holy crap.